Hello, world, and welcome back to another episode of the Survivor series, a week-by-week recap and analysis of Survivor for people who are new to the show and returning viewers alike. This is the week that we have been waiting for. I mean, we finally get to see what this wrinkle is with the edge of extinction. But before we get into that, let's do a quick recap. So we got straight into the thick of things this week. We went right to the tribal merge. Jeff Probst called both of the teams in. He let them know they were merged, and then he threw the edge of extinction wrinkle at them. He called in the castaways. Everybody was shocked to see them. And instead of getting a reward challenge, we had a challenge among the castaways to get back in the game. Now, Keith used the disadvantage that he'd won on the Edge of Extinction Island to make things more difficult for Chris to complete the challenge, and this kind of paved the way for Rick to come through and win his way back into the game. It was an emotional moment for everyone. It was triumphant for everyone to have one of their own make it back into the game, but then it was also a bit bittersweet because everyone felt that, that was the end of the road for them. But no. Jeff Probst told them it's not the end of the road. This is the new wrinkle in the game. Once you get voted out, you go to Edge of Extinction and you get the opportunity to come back and compete amongst everyone for a chance to get back in. We also got an Aubrey dance at this information. Back at the newly merged tribe, Wentworth immediately made a beeline for Rick. This kind of upset Julie, who felt it was a bit immoral to immediately vote Rick out after he'd had that triumph with getting back in. So she let Rick know what was going on. Over at Edge of Extinction, Wendy and Keith did the entire world a favor and just went home. Thank you. Thank you for doing us this mitzvah of not forcing us to watch you be terrible at this game for the rest of the season. Back over at the tribe, the Comma 6, led by Victoria, decide to get rid of Joe. And Joe just is Joe about it. At Tribal, Joe gets voted out. He goes to Edge of Extinction. Questions, thoughts. First question is, why would you vote Joe out at this point? Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold off on that because that actually gets to my mistake of the 3-day period. While we're talking about Joe, though, is anyone else concerned that Joe is actually just a deep brand integration between Survivor and Captain Morgan? With the castaways getting to join the jury, it seems like we're going to have the largest jury that we've ever had. Is that how this is going to work? Just anybody who doesn't decide to give up and go home gets to take part in the vote at the end of the season? We'll see. For as far as we've gotten into this season, it seems like we've gotten to see very little of the Comma tribe. We've seen some Ron, we've seen a bit of Victoria, and then everyone else, it seems like they've got a combined seconds on screen. While we're talking about Comma, I love that we've got this NSYNC situation developing there. Let me break this down. With NSYNC in the early days, if you watch those early videos and performances, it's very clear that JC Chasez thinks that he's the leader of the group. Meanwhile, you have Justin Timberlake here in the wings just waiting to become the breakout star. I think that's what's going on with this tribe, where you've got Ron, who clearly thinks that, he's running things, but here's Victoria on the side just waiting to go out and have that stunning solo career. Sorry, Ron, you are the JC in this group. We've got an interesting idol situation developing right now. This episode, Rick found an idol that was a broken idol. He had to give half of it to someone else, and they could join the idol together to use it at a tribal council. So he gave the other half to David, obviously, because they're day ones. But the twist was they couldn't use it at this tribal council. What that sets up is a situation where next week we have 3 active idols, and they're all distributed among the Manu originals, who are all the people who are on the downside of this tribal merge. And also, imagine a scenario where Joe wins his way back into the game and wins immunity. That puts almost everybody who's on the bottom of this tribe with an idol in their hand, and that makes them bulletproof. And then that would mean that the Comma 6 would have to figure out who amongst them would have to go. I mean, this could be a pretty interesting twist. My PO3DP this week is Victoria. Victoria's got that ice water in her veins, people. I love it. She's the type to hug you and stab you in the back and have no compunction. And that's the kind of player that I like. Like the kind of person who's just like, you know what? I did what I had to do in order to get to the end. I mean, yeah, I saw that he was getting ready to eat some poisonous plants, and I could have said something, but I didn't. And now look where he is. He's at home recuperating, and I'm sitting right here. And that's why I think you should vote for me. That's what I love, and she's that 100%, 1000%. Mistake of the 3-day period. I'm going to go right back to Victoria on this one, because as skilled as her execution was in getting rid of Joe, I don't like that as a move. Here's why. Joe's a threat, for sure, but you haven't gotten rid of Joe. And the reason that Joe's a threat is because you feel like he's a challenge beast, like he can just win challenge after challenge. So you sent him into a situation where he just has to go through a challenge to get back in the game. Of course he's going to get back in the game, and now he's going to know that you engineered his departure, and in doing so, you did this without any input or collaboration from any of the people in the outgroup, nobody from the Manu originals. And so what that means is that now you have this guy coming back into the game who knows that you did this to him, and you failed to gain allies in the execution of that move. So that's why I think that was a mistake. I think that Victoria still has what it takes to go far, but that seemed like a bad move. All right, wrapping things up. The game really seems like it's in uncharted territory right now. We finally know what happens with the Edge of Extinction castaways, but this is a wrinkle the likes of which we haven't ever seen before, so we don't know how all of this is going to continue to impact the gameplay, the decisions that people make. I think that, as I mentioned earlier, Victoria's vote to get rid of Joe fails to take into consideration this new wrinkle. And I think that that's going to be one of the things that we look for over the next few weeks, is people who are able to take in this new wrinkle and integrate it into their strategy for getting to the end of the game. So what do we look for next week? I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're in this position where most of the dynamics that we've seen over the past 6 episodes are going to continue to play out. That said, I read an interview with Jeff Probst in Entertainment Weekly. He always does a recap interview after the episodes, where he said that the thing to look for next week is tribal. So I'm wondering if all of these idols are going to come into play. We will see. And I guess I will see you after the next episode. Made it to the end of the video. Thank you for sticking around this long. If you like this video, give it a like. I really want to know what you think about this episode, about the new twists in the game, so please leave some comments below. And if you haven't, but you want to see more of these episodes, subscribe to the channel. Take the mouse, click subscribe, or if you're not using a mouse, just take your finger, trackpad over, tap subscribe. See you next week.